Tonight, we will discover who is the filthiest person alive. Good evening, everyone. This is Stone Gasman, live from New York City, and I'd like to welcome you all to the 50th anniversary audio commentary for John Waters' legendary cult film, Pink Flamingos, starring Divine. And yes, according to Variety, this is one of the most vile, stupid, and repulsive movies ever made. It still remains shocking to this day, and it's very true that the Library of Congress has just approved last year to preserve this movie in the National Film Registry. So it is officially now a cinematic treasure, according to the Library of Congress. Now, before we get started, I am paused at the New Line Cinema logo from 1997 because this is the 25th anniversary edition. Unfortunately, at this time, Pink Flamingos is not really available anywhere. You can't stream it anywhere. You're going to have to, well, let's put it this way. There's a lot of little crimes that happen in this movie. There was a lot of crimes committed, minor, but at the same time, criminal nonetheless, where this film was actually made based on that. I mean, like the budget was so low, they had to steal a lot of things to make this movie happen. So you might have to figure out alternate ways to get a copy online real quick. I'll give everybody just 2-3 minutes here. Otherwise, this is pretty much the only way you can watch this. I mean, I got this DVD on Amazon for $10. And unfortunately, the Criterion version, which just got announced on the date of the 50th anniversary, which was March 17th. It premiered in Baltimore, Maryland on March 17th, 1972. And on that day, Criterion announced to the world that it will be releasing Pink Flamingos in a brand new Blu-ray, probably a 4K scan, with all new bonus features. And in fact, on Twitter a few days ago, they just posted a picture of John Waters with director Jim Jarmusch, who they decided to get together and talk about Pink Flamingos for a bit. So unfortunately, this is really the only legal way you can watch the movie right now, but maybe that's the best because it's considered unstreamable, which I find kind of hilarious because, I mean, you know, you can find much worse things on the internet than Pink Flamingos. This movie is almost tame, comparably speaking, now to a lot of the stuff that they put out now. But this is the movie that really put John Waters on the map. Of course, he is a Baltimore filmmaker. And most of the movies he made were shot in Baltimore. But this was the first one that actually managed to get distribution outside of Baltimore. And we will talk about that as the movie goes on. But at any rate, I'm pretty sure that, if you're seriously, I'll give timestamps as we go along so that anybody who manages to get a copy later during the commentary, I'll give you the timestamp and you can jump to where I am. But without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and press play. I just need to lower the volume on this a bit. I'm not going to lower it all the way because I do want some of the dialogue to be heard through and I'm pretty sure I won't get busted for this. I mean, there is language in this movie. I mean, I don't care about being demonetized. I don't really care about any of that, but let me just put it a little further down here. I got it at the volume 10, at the 10th level of volume. So at any rate, let's go ahead and press play. 3, 2, 1, and play. Now, this, of course, is the 25th anniversary edition where we got the New Line Cinema logo. And it opens up. This is one of the this movie has no end credits. I mean, all the credits are crammed into the beginning of the movie. We open up on this trailer with a couple of plastic pink flamingos outside of it. Dreamland presents Pink Flamingos, and there's even a drawing of a flamingo that goes along with the title, which is pretty cool. Starring Divine, of course, the legendary drag queen Divine. And this was John Waters' third film. And I've not seen his first two films. I know one of them was Multiple Maniacs, released in 1970, which also got the Criterion treatment. But as you can see, these cast credits right here, he wanted to name every single extra in the credits. So everybody that you see, there's nobody that's uncredited in this movie, which you have to give John Waters, a little bit of an applause for that. I mean, he cares enough about everybody that worked on this movie so much. He wanted to make sure that every single person that contributed to this movie got credit. And so he actually lists all of the extras, which is pretty amazing. Now, as these credits are going, we see a pink flamingo on the left, and we also see a chicken. It's not a real chicken. I think it's a plastic chicken. But there is a very infamous scene with a chicken in this movie, and we'll talk about it when we get there. It's one of the most controversial scenes in the movie where a chicken is actually killed on camera. Although, to be fair, they did cook the chicken later and eat it. So, I mean, look, there are some vile things in this movie. There's some repulsive things in this movie. And this movie has been controversial. But at the same time, it's also been cited as a movie as being punk before punk was even a thing. John Waters describes this movie as a punk film in hippie clothing, which I think is very, very accurate. A Dreamland production, 1972, copyright 1972, John Waters. And we open up on a narrator. Hello, this is Mr. J. And this is actually John Waters himself. The current hideout of the notorious beauty Divine, the filthiest person alive. In one of your sleazier national tabloids, she's been forced to go underground, disguising her appearance, adopting the alias of Babs Johnson, with her liver-entrusted delinquent son, Crackers, and her mentally ill mother, Miss Edie. Let's take a peek inside the trailer. And here we have Edie Massey, the late Edie Massey, born in 1918. And she basically plays Babs's mother, who sits in a playpen the entire time and is always going on about the Eggman. She wants her eggs. She wants her eggs from the Eggman so badly. And pretty much all her dialogue, every single line that Edith Massey has in this movie regards eggs. I mean, this is the restored 25th anniversary edition, and I must say it's not nearly as bad as this is my second time viewing this movie, because the first time I watched Pink Flamingos was late high school. I knew John Waters was a thing because my mother was a massive fan of Hairspray, and we're talking about the 1988 version of Hairspray, also with Divine. She was a massive fan of that because she grew up in the 1960s. And that was the movie where John Waters went PG. Pretty much all the movies that he made before Hairspray were X-rated. So you could say, there's two sections to John Waters' filmography. There's before Hairspray and after Hairspray. And even though he directed his last movie in 2004, which was A Dirty Shame, starring Tracy Ullman, Johnny Knoxville, and Selma Blair. The last movie he was actually involved with was the musical version of Hairspray with John Travolta, based on the the stage version, which actually got like 8 Tonys or something like that. It was a massive, massive hit on Broadway, and it ultimately became the movie with John Travolta. But before Pink Flamingos, John Waters was notorious for making a series of X-rated movies that had been cited as going beyond pornography. You know, this goes beyond anything you've seen in movies. I mean, one of my favorite movies of all time is Beyond the Valley of the Dolls. And in that movie, that opens up with the disclaimer saying, you have never seen anything like this. This is not a sequel to Valley of the Dolls. You have never seen anything like this movie in your life. And it's true. I mean, you know, anybody that's seen Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, written by Roger Ebert and directed by Russ Meyer, can attest to that. There is no other movie like Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, and the same could be applied to Pink Flamingos. Now, on screen here with gorgeous orange hair, I got to point out, and wearing these granny glasses is Mink Stoll, and she is one of the Dreamland players. And aside from one other character who plays Cracker's companion, she's really the only one that's been in every single John Waters movie. With the exception of maybe the Hairspray remake. I could be wrong on that. But again, John Waters didn't direct that. He only produced it. But virtually every other movie he wrote and directed himself. Now, to anybody who has never seen Pink Flamingos, it's an understatement to say this is not for everyone. You need to be in a mood. You need to be in a certain mood to watch a movie like this. This is not a movie that I plan on watching many more times, needless to say. But let me just give you a quick plot synopsis, courtesy of Wikipedia, just to give you an idea on how messed up this movie is. The notorious criminal Divine lives under the pseudonym Babs Johnson with her mentally ill mother, Edie, delinquent son, Crackers, and traveling companion, Cotton. And the lady playing Cotton is the other Dreamland player, aside from Mink Stoll, who has appeared in every single one of John Waters' movies. They share a trailer on the outskirts of Phoenix, Maryland, next to a gazing ball and a pair of plastic pink flamingos. After learning that Divine has been named the filthiest person alive by a tabloid paper, jealous rivals Connie and Raymond Marble attempt to usurp the title. The Marbles run a black market baby ring. They kidnap young women, have them impregnated by their manservant Channing, and sell the babies to lesbian couples. Now, let me just pause there for a minute, because it's like, whoa, what is all that? Yes, just hear me out for a minute. In 1972, this was really, really shocking stuff. But of course, what John Waters said on the commentary, which I just listened to earlier today, his commentary on the DVD, is that selling babies to lesbians is now the norm now. At the time, it was unheard of, but now it happens all the time. The proceeds from these, from the selling of the babies, they're used to finance pornography shops and a network of dealers selling heroin in inner city elementary schools. Raymond also earns money by exposing himself with a large kielbasa sausage or turkey neck tied to his penis to women, and then stealing their purses after they flee. One of Raymond's would-be targets, a transgender woman who has not completed gender reassignment surgery, thwarts his scheme by exposing her breast, penis, and scrotum, causing Raymond to flee in shock. The Marbles enlist a spy named Cookie to gather information about Divine by dating Crackers. Now, I'm going to pause there, because what happens after that is the infamous chicken scene. And look, I probably won't be looking at the screen when that happens, because it's pretty rough and it's pretty horrible. In the words of John Waters, it's like one hair away from a snuff film. But okay, so let's talk a little bit about John Waters himself, because the thing is that John Waters is probably one of the funniest filmmakers that I ever heard in my life. I mean, whenever he's talking in front of a camera, despite the movies he's made, I find him so exuberant and so joyous and so passionate about what he does. Yeah, yes, Pink Flamingos was made by the same guy that made Hairspray, the PG movie that I talked about before. It might blow your mind, but look, and the point is, he's actually made some really fun movies, a lot of fun movies. I mean, his first 3 short films, which were made in the mid 1960s, were called Hag in a Black Leather Jacket, Roman Candles, and Eat Your Makeup. And then in 1969, he made his feature film debut with Mondo Trasho, literally at the end of the 60s when the hippie and the flower power movements were dying off, thanks to Woodstock and also the Manson murders. And then in 1970, he made Multiple Maniacs, as well as another short film called The Diane Linkletter Story. 1972, of course, he made Pink Flamingos. He made it for $12,000, and ultimately it made about $7 million. And like I said, this was the movie that really put John Waters on the map. Now, New Line Cinema, which is most famous for being the studio that released all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, the house that built Freddy, they were... New Line was founded in 1967 by Robert Shea when he was only 27 years old. John Waters sent them a copy of Multiple Maniacs, and even though they rejected the movie, they contacted John Waters and said, okay, you know what? We're going to reject this movie, but when you have when you make your next movie and it's a bit more polished, send it back to us and we will probably distribute it for you if we like it. Well, Pink Flamingos, as I said before, it premiered in Baltimore, Maryland on March 17th of 1972. And New Line Cinema looked at it and they liked it. They didn't make any cuts, no cuts whatsoever to Pink Flamingos. And they ended up releasing it in a couple of theaters in New York. Although one of the actors who was in the movie said that when he went up to New York initially to view it for the first time, hopefully a crowd, because it mostly played on the art house circuit. This was not a movie that played in regular theaters, He said that there was only one person in the audience, and the rest of the patrons were having sex in the bathroom. So, but slowly but surely, people started to discover this movie, and they started talking about it. And John Waters has said that the ultimate inspiration for Pink Flamingos were the experimental quasi, really disgusting movies that Andy Warhol was making in the 60s, that kind of avant-garde cinematic mentality. And reportedly, Andy Warhol himself loved Pink Flamingos so much that when the Italian film director Federico Fellini visited New York City, he said, go out and see Pink Flamingos as soon as possible. Okay. Now, and after Pink Flamingos, luckily after the money he made from this movie, John Waters would later make Female Trouble in 1974, Desperate Living in 1977, Polyester in 1981, and then finally 7 years later he made the PG-rated Hairspray. And then after that he began to soften a little bit. He wasn't as experimentally vile as he was with his earlier films, because after Hairspray he made the cult film Crybaby with Johnny Depp, Serial Mom with Kathleen Turner, Pecker with Edward Furlong, Cecil B. Demented with Melanie Griffith, and then finally his last movie, which was sort of a return to form to these odd experimental films that he did, these really filthy movies, I mean, right now we're in the scene of the basement of the Marbles residence where they're about to perform artificial insemination on a kidnapped woman. But anyway, um, so Dirty Shame was kind of a return to form for those older films John Waters made, and it was basically Tracy Ullman plays a woman who gets hit on the head and gets a concussion and turns into a sex addict when Johnny Knoxville goes down on her. And supposedly, John Waters actually read in a magazine that it's very true that certain people, when they get concussions, they turn into sex addicts. He said he read that in an actual medical journal. And the truth is, I believe him. I mean, now, all these shots, of course, were in Baltimore. And what's amazing is that a lot of times they would, just, of course, this was all shot illegally, pretty much. There's some illegal stuff in this movie, which, let's put it this way. During the fire that appears later when they burn down the trailer, one critic actually accused John Waters of being a pyromaniac just because he spent so much time with the fire. But in reality, he just confessed it was bad editing, but he still took the credit for that. Okay, now on the wall here, it says Free Tex Watson XX. That was spray painted on there literally the night before the shoot. So it's not like it was already there. So one of the crew members actually spray painted it on there, and they just shot Divine walking next to it. And the shop right here, the owner of the shop wasn't around, but the person at the desk, who was the mother of one of the other crew members, basically said, "You need to shoot this really, really quickly before your dad gets back." Yeah. And speaking of fathers, it was actually John Waters' own father who financed this movie, but at the same time, he never watched it. In fact, John Waters told him, "I thank you for helping me fund this movie, but you are never to watch it." And he never did. He never watched Pink Flamingos. Now, this is a scene where Divine basically steals a piece of steak by hiding it underneath her dress. It's so horrible. Just one second. I need to put on the subtitles, but so now she's walking around with basically a piece of steak stuck between her legs, and she's trying to be all this is probably the most blackest of comedies that you can imagine. And the thing is, of course, here again, this was, as John Waters said, this is a punk film in hippie clothing. He wanted to basically see how far he could go, how far he could push the envelope, what he could get away with. And like I said, this was 1972 when pornography was a brand new thing. Deep Throat came out in July of that year, or June. It came out in June of 1972 in Times Square. It was made for only a few $1,000s, but it ended up making over $600 million. No joke. If you adjust it for inflation, Deep Throat actually made more money than Titanic. Take that, James Cameron. And so here's basically Divine walking down the street. Now, one of the things, I don't love this movie, obviously. One of the things I do love about this movie, as with all of John Waters' movies, is the soundtrack. And the soundtrack in all his movies, he tends to put in these warm chestnuts from the 50s and 60s, which is actually a pretty interesting juxtaposition from all the filthy things that happen in this movie. See, we have Divine wiping her privates and then throwing it away in a mansion, in the yard of a mansion, and then just strolling off again. This was just stuff that they thought of on the spot. But at the same time, this was actually a script. John Waters actually wrote this script. He said he was high when he wrote it, but during the shooting of the movie, he wasn't. So, you know. And Mink Stoll is just reading in the National Enquirer, you know, like about the filthiest person alive, Babs Johnson, and she is very, very jealous. She just can't believe that somebody else is trying to claim that title. Of course, why anybody would claim that title is beyond me, but she is so upset that somebody else has taken. Now, her hair is so orange. I mean, it's unbelievable how orange her hair is. And her partner, Mr. Marble here, who is about to show off his wang doodle with the tied up sausage that I was talking about before to these two women walking around. His hair is basically turquoise blue. And according to what I read, he basically turned his hair blue by just using a magic marker. He just used a magic marker and he did all that. But here's the thing. Here's the twist. Not only did he take a marker to his hair and turn it all blue, he also did it downstairs as well. And yes, we do see visual evidence of that in a scene coming up. So here he is about to flash even John Waters on the commentary said, you know, I don't know what I was thinking when I did this. I mean, but you know, I can imagine people in 1972 in these art house theaters, these hipper audiences, as he liked to say, just laughing their ass off because nobody had ever seen anything like this before. It was something new. It was, you know, vile and disgusting, but at the same time, it got people talking. People were talking about this movie. I mean, the newspapers, of course, you know, started talking about. He even got some good reviews, believe it or not, from places like the Village Voice of all places. I mean, here again, this was really an avant-garde film that ended up becoming a cult masterwork. And here again, it just got preserved by the Library of Congress. So, you know, you can ask what you can say whatever you want. Oh my God, that says so much of us as a culture. But you know, the truth of the matter is that this movie was talked about. Now, okay, in this scene right here, you can see that this they just ran out of this cab. This was something they used to do in Baltimore just to save money because they didn't have money. In order to get around, they took these cabs, and then instead of paying for the cabs, they just ran out of the cab and ran off. It's not a joke. You know, the thing is that talking about this movie is probably a lot more fun than actually watching it because there's so many horrible things in this movie. I mean, I wouldn't exactly call the film horrible, but there is just a lot of horrible things. Now, on the wall next to the Jesus statue is actually a pretty famous movie. I wanted to bring it up real quick. Okay, the 1966 movie Night Games. Now, as you can see, the camera is pulling back. On the wall on the left, you see 3 black and white pictures. Now, those are taken from a 1966 film called Night Games, which is a Swedish movie directed by Maj Zetterling, a woman, and starring Ingrid Thulin. Okay, now Maj Zetterling is probably best known to contemporary audiences as the grandmother in The Witches, the 1990 film from the Jim Henson Company, which was actually her second to last movie in 1990. But she was a Swedish actress, and she was also a novelist and a film director who made this 1966 movie called Night Games. And even though I've never seen it, I should, because the thing is that I've seen most movies directed by women made from the silent era to the 1970s, with a couple of exceptions. Because, and I'm going to stay on this for a while because, you know, even I have to take a break from looking at the screen here. But what a lot of people don't know is that in the silent era before 1920, women had genuine power in Hollywood. Lois Weber was the highest paid director, and Frances Marion was the highest paid screenwriter. And they made these movies. Frances Marion actually wrote a lot of Mary Pickford's movies, and Lois Weber in 1916 made a movie called Where Are My Children, which was about abortion and birth control that caused a massive, massive stir among audiences at that time. I mean, it was censored, it was banned, and in fact, she even made a sequel to that movie called The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. But at any rate, up until 1920, women had genuine power in Hollywood. And there was this silent film star named Olive Thomas, who was known as the most beautiful woman in the world. And she died in Paris at the age of 25. Nobody knows if she was murdered or if she committed suicide or if it was an accident. But ironically enough, 2 weeks after she died, the 19th Amendment was ratified, giving women the right to vote. And then within the next couple of years, the patriarchy in Hollywood had pushed out all the women. There were no more women directors. And the only job that women could get in Hollywood actually after 1920 was as a screenwriter. For the next 50 years, there were only 2 women directors. 2. Only 2 exceptions. In the 1940s, we had Dorothy Arzner. In the 1930s and 40s, who her most famous film was Dance Girl Dance in 1940 with Lucille Ball and Maureen O'Hara. And then Ida Lupino, the actress, had actually founded her own studio and directed movies in the 1950s, including the movie Outrage in 1950, which is really one of the first, if not the first movie, to be about a woman who gets raped. And she has to go to, there's a trial and everything. Like I said, unheard of taboo subjects, and they were all brought by women. And Mai Zetterling, before 1970, was one of the very few women directors. And this movie that she made, Night Games, and I'm gonna finish this up real quick. It was considered so controversial that it was shown to the jury in private at the Venice International Film Festival. The film was also the cause of former child star Shirley Temple's resignation from the San Francisco International Film Festival. Shirley Temple denounced the film as, quote, pornography for profit, and was against it being shown at the festival. And the plot, real quick, is that Jan returns with his fiancée to his childhood home. While there, he flashes back to his childhood, 20 years before, when he lived an unfettered life, watched over by a strange great aunt and a hedonistic and often neglectful mother and father. In particular, he remembers watching his mother give birth to a stillborn child after refusing to go to the hospital in the middle of a party, and his sexual obsession with his mother, which included being caught by her while he was masturbating while listening to her read a bedtime story. In the present, his relationship with his fiancée grows more strained as his past begins to affect the way he acts in the present. So, yeah, that was directed by Mai Zetterling in 1966, called Night Games. And like I said, I've never seen it, but here again, for those who know, in The Witches, she played the grandmother, and you probably would never have imagined that you would have made a movie like this. Now, here is the infamous chicken scene. Oh, God. So basically, chickens, all these chickens, these fucking chickens. Oh, no. The spy that the other couples send to have this relationship with Crackers, they're basically having sex with these 2 chickens in bed. They're not screwing the chickens, but the chickens are basically in between them. And yes, that is real chicken blood. One of the chickens died during this pretty horrific act. I mean, oh man. But here again, they cooked it afterward and they ate it. So, and look, I mean, you're dealing with a shoestring budget here where they barely had, I mean, let's put it this way. The trailer, it cost $200. After they were able to put everything inside the trailer, everything else had to be stolen because they didn't have any money left. I mean, it's insane some of the things that they literally got away with in this movie. It blows my mind still that they managed to get away with some of these things. Okay, now we're back in the trailer with Edie. Be thankful for small favors that we're back with Edie, the egg lady, instead of seeing more chicken snuff footage. But the Eggman has finally arrived. You know, he's in a milkman uniform. And he has all these eggs. Why, they're just begging to be scrambled or fried or poached or hard-boiled or all around ready to be thrown into a big, fat, juicy omelet. How about it, Edie? What'll be for the lady that likes the eggs the most? And she says, I want them all. I'll have the brown ones and those great big white ones, and I'll have those over there. And I want some for frying and for scrambling. And for hard-boiled for snacks. Oh, my God. It's just, like I said, this movie is insanity. It's absolute insanity. And she begs the Eggman, you know, please never quit. Never quit being my Eggman. Never, ever quit, because you are my love and joy and happiness and everything. And it's actually, okay, I'll get this. There is a tad bit of sweetness here where basically the Eggman proposes to her and then hauls Edie off in a wheelbarrow. So, I mean, look, I mean, that's as sweet as this movie gets, okay? I mean, that's about as sweet as this movie is ever going to get. The rest of it is just filth. It's just total filth from start to finish. Excuse me. Total filth. Now, see, I mean, here are the marbles. They're about to kidnap another woman to throw her down in this dungeon where, you know, they do the artificial insemination thing and then, you know, wait till they're pregnant so they can get the babies to sell them to lesbian couples. I mean, here again, in 1972, this was strong stuff. I mean, nobody had ever seen this before or seen anything like this. How'd you like to fuck my chauffeur? He's got a real horse dick on him. Here again, you have to be in a mood. I mean, if it rings true with your sense of humor and realize this is all just a filthy joke, it's all a gigantic filthy joke, I think you'll have a good time with this movie. But here again, this is not a movie I don't think I can watch. Honestly, I don't think I can watch this movie again without John Waters' audio commentary. There's certain movies I can't watch again unless it has a commentary track attached to it. One of them being Batman and Robin, of all things. I know it's weird bringing up that in a Pink Flamingos commentary, but it's true. There's only certain movies out there which I just can't watch again for a variety of reasons. But I am willing to see it again as long as there's an audio commentary playing. So, I mean, I could never watch Pink Flamingos cold again. I just don't think I can do it. There's this too much. There's too much filth that you have to absorb with this movie that I don't think I can take another viewing of it where, you know, completely cold with nobody talking over the movie and everything. But the way John Waters talks and the way he describes how all these scenes came together, it's pretty hilarious stuff, because I just think he's a delight to listen to, an absolute delight to listen to. Now, even though we only see him from the back, I mean, Mr. Marble, well, we do have a close up of his ass right here, but I mean, he's basically masturbating, and he's going to use the sperm to, yeah. I mean, it's, I mean, and here again, it doesn't get too graphic. I mean, doesn't get graphic to the point where, I mean, like almost, not quite, but almost. I mean, there is a, oh God, I mean, oh. So after we just saw a needle and him injecting it into, now we have Mink Stole and her husband, and actually, well, what is the gentleman? Well, not gentleman. I don't think so, but I mean the character is not a gentleman, of course. But what is this guy's name? David Low Kerry. And yeah, he actually died very young. He died in 1977 at the age of 32, and he plays Mr. Marble here with the turquoise blue hair upstairs and down, and was one of the regular Dreamlander actors in early films of controversial trash director John Waters. And in 1977, he died while intoxicated on PCP, but his death remains mysterious and controversial to this very day. Now, what they were doing in bed here, basically they were sucking each other's toes, and according to John Waters, that's known as shrimping. I mean, I had never heard that term before, shrimping, until I saw Dirty Shame, which pretty much has every fetish in the book. I mean, I mean, half of the fetishes in A Dirty Shame I had never, ever heard of in my life. I mean, I had no idea that Red Wings was a biker initiation, which involves cunnilingus during a woman's period. I had no idea about any of this stuff. And so after Dirty Shame, I mean, I remember laughing a lot during that movie just because I'd never heard of these things before. I was shocked that these are all a thing, you know, that people actually do these things. I mean, splashing is the erotic urge to dump food in your private area. It's actually a fetish that originated in the United Kingdom, and there's even a monthly magazine devoted to splashing that, you know, so look, that's from the UK. I mean, that's not from the US, that's from the UK. But of course, he put it into A Dirty Shame. Are you ready for phase one, Raymond? where they're going to get back at Divine, so they can try to reclaim the title of the filthiest people alive. There's indeed someone filthier than her. She can eat the cover of Midnight. She can eat all her publicity in front of her rotten little party guests. Is her present ready? And so the present they're referring to is basically the husband shit in a box, and they're going to send it in the mail to her. Phase one, the filthiest gesture. Do you think she'll appreciate our little gift? Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's all a bad joke. It's all a filthy joke when he made this movie. And I'm sure all the actors were, here they go shrimping again. They're shrimping each other, you know, sucking each other's toes. Which I mean, John Waters said he always found this funny. And yeah, I mean, it is kind of funny, but it's also just like, why? Why do we need to see this couple shrimping? I don't, because they can get away with it. Because here again, they wanted to see what they could get away with. So they put everything in this movie, every fetish and incomprehensible act that you could imagine that could be put into a movie. They put it in Pink Flamingos, okay? And look, it got people's attention. It got people talking. You can't deny that, it's become a cult classic for those reasons. And look, I mean, there's admittedly some very funny stuff in this movie, but you need to have the right sense of humor and the right amount of stomach control to be able to take all this in, because it is a lot. It really is a lot. Now, I don't know if anybody has been able to get a copy of this movie in terms of following along with me. However, I'm at approximately the 40-minute mark, 40-minute timestamp. So anybody who wants to jump ahead can get there. We're about halfway through the movie, although there are 15 minutes of deleted scenes which play literally right after the movie. I mean, this is actually a Warner Brothers disc because, and actually, I think this is a perfect time to talk about. That's the actual grill they cook the chicken on, by the way. I mean, these are the little tidbits that I learned during the John Waters commentary. But yeah, this DVD was actually put out by Warner Brothers, of all people. Director John Waters breaks every rule of good filmmaking and good taste with his 1972 landmark cult classic, starring Divine, Mink Stoll, and Edith Massey, an ensemble cast like you wouldn't believe. This underground epic sets a benchmark for the bizarre that has never been equaled. They're not wrong. They are most certainly not wrong. Divine, whose star is so big she can hardly fit in the role, is Babs Johnson, a trailer park bon vivant, who proudly claims the title the filthiest person alive. She's the envy of every neighborhood degenerate, and it isn't long before another couple sets their sights on Divine's legacy. In the proud American tradition, competition forces each contender to outdo the other. By the time the film reaches its final unforgettable scene, we're going to get to it, well, make sure you've already finished your popcorn. Somebody wrote that. Somebody wrote that for the back of the Warner Brothers. Oh, man. Now, this is actually a nice little quiet moment between Divine and Edith Massey. Now, like I said, Edith Massey, she was born in 1918 and best known for appearances in the John Waters movies. She was one of the Dreamlanders, again, part of the stable of the cast and crew. In the 1975 documentary Love Letter to Edie, Massey said she was raised in an orphanage and eventually was placed in a foster home. Her foster family members were cruel to her, and as a teenager, she ran away to Hollywood. In the documentary Divine Waters in 1981, Massey explained that she was born in New York but raised in Denver. I was movie crazy, so I went to California to try to get in the movies, but instead I became a barmaid. In 1946, which was the year that John Waters was born, Massey married a soldier in Reno, leaving him about 5 years later because she got, quote-unquote, restless. However, in Divine Waters, Massey said the marriage lasted, quote-unquote, about 7 years. It was my fault. I left him for another man, so I blame myself for it. She worked in several odd jobs throughout the years and eventually relocated to Baltimore, Maryland, where she worked as a barmaid at Pete's Hotel. Filmmaker John Waters met Massey while she was working at Pete's Hotel in 1969 and offered her a role as herself in the film Multiple Maniacs. In the early 1970s, she quit her job at Pete's and opened up a thrift store called Edith's Shopping Bag in the Fells Point area of Baltimore. She sadly died in 1984. And yeah, there you go. So that's her. Now, Divine, who is on screen here again. Now, as you can see, the hair on top of her is real hair. However, behind that, going down to her shoulders, that's fake hair. So it is a quasi wig that she's wearing here. And Divine, of course, was an American singer and drag queen. She was born into a conservative middle-class family. According to John Waters on the commentary, she basically stayed home until she was 16, and that her primary function at home was she did her mother's hair practically every day. Or he did, rather. He did his mother's hair practically every day. And here he is opening up the box from the from the other couple, which has, we actually see the feces in the box. Someone has sent me a bowel movement. A turd, Mama, a turd. Who could have sent this? A turd. Oh, a turd. Oh, no. This is a direct attack on my divinity, a direct attack on the peace and harmony of our last few weeks here, an outrageous attempt to humiliate and disgrace my private life. Someone will pay for this. Someone will pay with their life for this grossly offensive act. Mama, nobody sends you a turd and expects to live. Nobody. Oh, God. This movie is so messed up. It is. They also got a birthday card. Oh, God, Babs. Happy birthday, fatso. Oh, God. You are no longer the filthiest person alive. We are. Signed, the filthiest people alive. Now, there's nothing subtle about that at all. Of course the Eggman didn't do it, Edie. Of course he didn't. The Eggman is actually a sweet guy. So now they're obviously questioning why anybody would send him a turd in the mail. And actually on the new Criterion Blu-ray, it's packaged like an actual package that would be sent to a Divine's trailer. Divine was described by People magazine as the drag queen of the century. Now, the voiceover here actually, when they say Baltimore, they say Baltimore. Oops. Like I said, I mean, they didn't have a lot of money to do reshoots or re-edits with this thing. So it was like, what you see is what you get, pretty much. And what's interesting is that in 1991, Divine embarked on a career in the disco industry, producing a number of HINRG tracks, most of which were written by Bobby Orlando. He achieved international chart success with hits like You Think You're a Man, I'm So Beautiful, and Walk Like a Man, all of which were performed in drag. Divine had a condition called cardiomegaly. Stress on his enlarged heart unfortunately led to a heart attack that killed him shortly after the release of Hairspray. Hairspray, sadly, was his final film. Now, there's a poster on the wall there for Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton in the movie Boom. John Waters said that he actually still shows that movie in film festivals to this very day. Now, one thing I wanted to do real quick was, of course, read Roger Ebert's review of Pink Flamingos and he wrote this in 1997. He gave it no stars. He said he didn't give it a single star, not even a half a star. But I love what he wrote here. John Waters' Pink Flamingos has been restored for its 25th anniversary revival, and with any luck at all, that means I won't have to see it again for another 25 years. If I haven't retired by then, I will. How do you review a movie like this? I am reminded of an interview I once did with a man who ran a carnival sideshow. His star was a geek who bit off the heads of live chickens and drank their blood. He's the best geek in the business, the man assured me. What is the difference between a good geek and a bad geek, I asked. You want to examine the chickens? Pink Flamingos filmed with genuine geeks, and that is the appeal of the film to those who find it appealing. What seems to happen in the movie really does happen. That is its redeeming quality, you might say. If the events in this film were only simulated, it would merely be depraved and disgusting. But since they are actually performed by real people, the film gains a weird kind of documentary stature. There is a temptation to praise the film, however grudgingly, just to show you have a strong enough stomach to take it. It is a temptation I can resist. The plot involves a rivalry between two competing factions for the title of Filthiest People Alive. In one corner, a transvestite named Divine, who dresses like a combination of a showgirl, dominatrix, and bozo. Her mentally ill mother, who sits in a crib eating eggs and making messes. Her son likes to involve chickens in his sex life with strange women. And her lover likes to watch her son with strange women and chickens. In the other corner are Mr. and Mrs. Marble, who kidnap hippies, chain them in a dungeon, and force their butler to impregnate them so that after they die in childbirth, their babies can be sold to lesbian couples. All the details of these events are shown in the film, including the notorious scene in which Divine actually, I'm not going to say till the end of the movie. I'm not going to say what he does until we actually get to that scene. I'm just not going to say it right now. And not only do we see genitalia in this movie, they do exercises. Pink Flamingos appeals to that part of our psyches in which we are horny teenagers at the county fair with fresh dollar bills in our pockets and a desire to see the geek show with a bunch of buddies so that we can brag about it on school on Monday. And also because of an intriguing rumor that the bearded lady proves she is bearded all over. After the restored version of the film has played, director John Waters hosts and narrates a series of outtakes, which, not surprisingly, are not as disgusting as what stayed in the film. We see scenes in which Divine cooks the chicken that starred in an earlier scene. Divine receives the ears of Cookie, the character who co-starred in the scene with her son, and the chicken, and Divine Cotton and her son sing, "We are the filthiest people alive," in Pig Latin. John Waters is a charming man whose later films, such as Polyester and Hairspray, take advantage of his bemused take on pop culture. His early films, made on infinitesimal budgets and starring his friends, use shock as a way to attract audiences, and that is understandable. He jump-started his career, and in the movie business, you do what you gotta do. Waters' talent has grown. In this film, which he photographed, the visual style resembles a home movie, right down to the overuse of the zoom lens. Amusingly, his zooms reveal he knows how long the characters will speak. He zooms in, stays, and then starts zooming out before the speech ends so he can pan to another character and zoom in again. After the outtakes, Waters shows the original trailer for the film, in which, not amazingly, not a single scene from the movie is shown. Instead, the trailer features interviews with people who have just seen Pink Flamingos and are a little dazed by the experience. The trailer cleverly positions the film as an event. Hey, you may like the movie or you may hate it, but at least you'll be able to say you saw it. Then the blurbs flash on the screen, including one comparing Pink Flamingos to Louis Bunel's The Andalusian Dog, in which a pig's eyeball was sliced. Yes, but the pig was dead, while the audience for this movie is still alive. Note, I am not giving a star rating to Pink Flamingos because stars simply seem not to apply. It should be considered not as a film, but as a fact, or perhaps an object. Yeah, I would say that's all fairly accurate. I mean, Roger, he's not wrong. He's not wrong on any of that stuff. I'd like to welcome S'mores Indoors. Good evening, Stone. Hope you're doing well. I am very well. Thank you very much. Daniel Shine. Hey, Stone. Great to see you. And I'd also like to say hi to Katrina as well as Rob Gasper. Thank you all for coming out tonight. Again, anybody who has anything to say on Pink Flamingos, put it in the chat. I would be more than happy to share it with you all on the screen. Now, okay, here's the romantic scene of the milkman kissing Edie in the crib. And now we have a party. Now, the original song, which was supposed to open up this, was 16 Candles. But instead, it ended up being, due to rights reasons, Happy Birthday, Baby. And both songs were actually in American Graffiti, which came out the year later, George Lucas's American Graffiti. And yes, I will be doing a commentary on that next year for that film's 50th anniversary. And I'm looking forward to it too. Hey, Pink Flamingos! Yep. Yes, indeed. And actually, I wanted to mention the rest of the movies on the soundtrack real quick, because it's actually a really good soundtrack. I mean, and it is available. You can get the soundtrack on CD if you really want to. But among the songs on here, we have Link Ray and the Rayman for the Swag, Intoxica by the Centurions, Jim Dandy by Laverne Baker, Jim Dandy to the rescue. Yeah, I like that song. I Am Not a Juvenile Delinquent, which is by Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers. That was playing in the scene where she was stealing the piece of meat and hiding it between her legs as she was exiting the butcher shop. Chicken Grabber by Nighthawks. Happy Happy Birthday Baby by the Toon Weavers, which is playing. Pink Champagne by the Tyrones. Surfing Bird by the Trashmen. And Riot in Subblock number 9 by the Robins. And the last song is How Much Is That Doggy in the Window, played by Patty Page. And so as you can see, there's a number of very odd birthday gifts here. Excuse me for one moment here. I mean, it's just weird watching these movies with all these 50s chestnuts from the 50s and 60s, and yet we all this filth on the screen. And Edie Massey is outside in her crib, having some food. Those are all fried eggs that she's eating, by the way. Now, a couple of other trivia bits I want to share real quick. During filming, Devine was arrested for stealing. In her defense, she said she was a method actor playing a criminal. Okay. According to the production designer Vincent Perino, the art department's budget was about $200. Half went to purchasing the trailer, the other half to decorating that. And then after that, when they ran out of money, they would just steal things. Yeah, that's what they did. And they got around town by running out of cabs as soon as they got to their location. Can you imagine that now, calling Ubers and then, people just running out? I'm sure people do it. But, back then, this is long before Uber. And they just had cabs to get to wherever they needed to go. Now, and the sequence also contains what is aptly called the singing asshole. At his request, the singing asshole is not credited, and John Waters maintains that he, quote, certainly will remain nameless. It's his choice. This individual does, however, apparently still disclose the involvement of the film to friends until he passed away in 2020. Yeah, the singing asshole is now currently on the God, the singing asshole. But John Waters in 2020, after he passed, he revealed that the name of the singing asshole was David E. Gluck. Yeah. It's like, how much further can this film go? I don't know. I don't want to know either. I mean, it gets away with enough that, you don't want to see them get away with anything else. So we are done with the singing asshole. We don't have to deal with the singing asshole anymore. Devine and the party guests are actually inhaling armyl nitrate during the party scene. At the time of filming, it was still legal to buy such quote-unquote poppers at drugstores. If you watch Devine's face during the scene, she suddenly starts laughing uproariously. John Waters says that's where it quote-unquote kicked in. In some theaters, patrons were given a pink phlegm Ingo barf bag. Okay. And the woman that actually made Mr. Marble run away when she flashed her genitalia, her name was Elizabeth Coffey, and she was a pre-op transgender woman who had already undergone hormone therapy to develop breasts and female features at the time of filming. She had surgery to remove her penis a week to the day her scene was filmed, and appears as a completely female character in Waters' next film, Female Trouble. Years later, okay. Now, and also, this is probably the one trivia bit that, I mean, for any of you who are fans of the Disney version of Little Mermaid, brace yourself for this. Divine's character in this movie was the inspiration for Ursula, the villainess in Disney's The Little Mermaid. I'm sure Little Mermaid fans, upon hearing that, will probably run to see Pink Flamingos as soon as possible. And now the party has just descended into total chaos here. I mean, considering the fact we now know what these people are on, I mean, you know, here they are eating raw meat, literally off the bone. This reminds me of Night of the Living Dead, actually. I mean, of course, in Night of the Living Dead, they were actually eating a baked ham with strawberry sauce on top. Delicious. Oh, delicious. I'm sure they had a very hearty meal while shooting that. Just thank goodness we don't have to deal with the singing asshole anymore. Now here they go. Edie and the milk and the Eggman, excuse me, the Eggman and Edie just got married, and he's now taking her away in a wheelbarrow with a sign on it that says "Just Married." Aw, isn't that sweet? Like I said, this is as sweet as this movie gets. Oh my God. And this car that they're driving here, this Coupe de Ville, John Waters said that was actually his landlord's car. I mean, just to give you an idea of what they had to do to get this film in the can and finished. This is everything they had to do. Oh, actually, okay. I thought we passed it already, but no. This is Elizabeth Coffey right here, the pre-op transgender woman I was talking about before that later appeared in Female Trouble. And of course, Mr. Marble is going to try to flash her, but instead he is shocked himself when she decides to flash him, and he runs away. Hey, I got one of those too. Yeah, he just runs away. That is not the only shock you have before you, Raymond Marble, because at this exact moment, Divine has learned of your jealous scheme. This is all John Waters talking. She has your address too, asshole. Yeah, this movie is about assholism. Basically, it's about assholism. It'd be a prudent move on their part if they could smell them if they were here. Now, that is a real gun that she has in her hand, and yes, they used real bullets later when they fired the gun. I mean, like I said, everything in this movie, there was nothing fake. There was nothing phony about any of this. They just went out and did it. And see, this is where they lick everything in the house. God. They decide to get back at him by licking everything in the house and letting them know, hey, you're no longer the filthiest people alive. We will always be the filthiest people alive. They stare at each other's blue and red hair while they goose each other and say dirty words. They're on the Marble's bed right now, and Divine is basically, mocking, every vile thing that they do in the bed. I mean, well, he obviously doesn't know about the shrimping. Okay, he obviously doesn't know about that. Let me do a timestamp real quick for everybody while they're licking the stairs here. We are approximately 1 hour and 5 minutes in. 1 hour and 5 minutes. So if you want to, if you manage to have a copy and you need to join in, go to the 1 hour and 5 minute mark. Oh, God. I'm glad I'm not eating anything during this commentary. That's the one thing about Pink Flamingos. Never eat during this movie. You won't be able to hold it. I guarantee you probably wouldn't be able to hold it. Now, we're about to we're now gotten to another infamous scene in this movie, which basically involves it basically involves Divine giving oral sex to Crackers. Now, John Waters has said that this is the one scene in the movie that he regrets shooting. I mean, yeah, forget about the chickens, forget about the every other illegal thing that they did to get this movie done, especially in the very last scene. But this is the one scene he regrets. And the thing is that they were all friends, so it's not like there was any issue with it. I mean, they were actually fine with doing this. I mean, just like the final scene in the movie, Divine, said, "Hey, look, I'm an actress, and it was in the script, so I did it." Okay, that's commitment right there. I mean, John Waters was obviously a really, really good friend to actually get away with all this stuff before the camera. Yeah, now they're licking the dining room table and everything. I mean, this scene does go on forever, and that's. I mean, it's not the blowjob that bothers me so much as just the fact that some of these scenes just go on and on and on. I mean, it gets repetitive after a while. It really does. Now you got to remember, and I mentioned this before, but you got to remember this was back during the era of porn chic, when it was no longer just men in trench coats going to porn theaters, but respectable middle-class women went to porn theaters. Movie stars went to porn theaters. Bob Hope, he famously said that, I went to see Deep Throat because I'm fond of animal pictures. I thought it was about giraffes. I mean, here again, it's not so much the act itself. It's just the fact that these scenes go on for so long. I mean, John Waters says bad editing, but look, I mean, that's the thing, is that they could have been a bit more. They could have been a bit more freewheeling with those editing scissors. I mean, just chop it down just a little bit more. I mean, just give it a little bit more brevity. Give these scenes a little bit more brevity, because I mean, even when I was a senior in high school and I saw this movie for the first time, I mean, some of the stuff shocked me, but then again, I was just kind of like, I'm probably not going to watch any movie that outdoes this movie. So this is basically the absolute limit, as far as where cinema had gone at that time. And this was, of course, when the 25th anniversary came out in 1997. So, I mean, some stuff shocked me, and somehow I got through this movie. I don't know. I don't know how I got through this movie, of course, without turning it off, because, Mark Kermode, the famous UK film critic, he walked out. He walked out on Pink Flamingos, probably because of either the chicken scene or this BJ scene that we just saw. And here are the okay. Now this scene is hilarious because the marbles are basically using real gasoline. That is real gasoline, and they're putting it all over the trailer park. like I said, a lot of this stuff was done so illegally. I mean, they cover the trailer park with gasoline, and they're about to burn it to the ground, obviously, to get revenge. Yeah, for the scene in which the marbles send Babs an obscene package, Devine actually defecated into the box the night before filming in order to elicit a genuine reaction from the cast. All these reactions are genuine reactions. I mean, there's just here again, it's got this weird, bizarre documentary style. It really does. Now, director John Waters, he actually wrote a sequel to this movie called Flamingos Forever. It takes place 15 years after the action in the original film, showing Babs return to Baltimore with cotton crackers, Miss Edie, and her new grandson, Dwayne, an 8-year-old transvestite. Their foe in this film is Connie Marble's sister, Vera Veninger, and her husband, Wilbur, a necrophile who runs a mortuary. Troma Films offered to finance the picture for $600,000, but it was never made because of the death of Edith Massey, and later that of Devine, whose roles were integral to the plot. John Waters was also very, very uncomfortable with Troma's editing facilities, which at the time were moviolas from the earliest days of film editing. The screenplay to this work is available with those of Pink Flamingos and Desperate Living in a collection entitled Trash Trio. And look, I mean, if you're still baffled as to why this movie has been inducted into the Library of Congress, or excuse me, the National Film Registry by the Library of Congress, remember what Pauline Kael said. How can we appreciate great art when you don't appreciate great trash? She's got a point. She's got a point. I mean, and this is most definitely great trash. I mean, that's the only way I can describe that this movie as being great, is that it's great trash. I mean, it's primo. It's the filet mignon of cinematic trash, you know? Now, there was supposed to be a scene where Mink Stoll's hair was supposed to catch on fire. In actuality, she almost set fire to herself. We'll get there when it gets there. But in the original script, the scene in which Connie Marble's hair catches fire, Mink Stoll initially agreed to do the stunt, but the movie's shoestring budget meant they couldn't afford a professional stunt woman. But eventually, she changed her mind. John Waters said on the audio commentary track that he was happy that Stoll changed her mind in retrospect, because she would have ended up with third-degree burns on her head, and he would have ended up in jail. Now, here's Mink Stoll lighting the fire. Now, as you can see, the flame got really close to her coat, and she nearly went up in flames right here. Her coat literally almost caught fire. And when she throws it in, John Waters was so upset that the trailer park just didn't go up like a flash. That's what he wanted. Instead, they had to wait. And that's why this fire sequence goes on as long as it does, because they were just waiting for this flame to go up and consume the entire trailer. Yeah. Man. But yeah, as you can see, the fire has now actually totally consumed the trailer at this point. And he said that this area in Maryland, John Waters said that this area, it's all houses now. It's all suburban houses. And yes, there were people that actually called the fire department, because this, you could see the smoke for this for miles. I mean, That's a pretty big fire right there. Those goddamn marbles. We'll get those assholes later. Oh, man. Yeah, unfortunately, they burned down her trailers. I mean, his trailers. So now Divine has to get back the marbles now. And oh, do they ever! Oh, do they ever! I mean, they're not playing around now. They burned down his home. So guess what? She's going to take the ultimate revenge against them by basically killing them, murdering them. Yeah. And there goes the trailer, finally burned to the ground. And one of the melted flamingos, I don't know if that's a metaphor for anything. I mean, take it what you will, but, that's the end of the trailer park. When Waters and Divine were pursuing Tab Hunter for polyester, Divine said, "I hope he doesn't watch Pink Flamingos." He had, but he didn't mind. That's great, John. That is great. John Waters' early films were like attending a party. The midnight features were events unlike any other, just like Rocky Horror Picture Show. I believe John invented the party film genre. Yeah, that you might have a point there. That might be true. Absolutely. I don't know if you would make an argument for Andy Warhol or Russ Meyer, maybe as precursors to that kind of genre, but I mean, you may very well be right. You may very well be right. What's Waters' best movie? Ben Grimm. Glad to have you come aboard, sir. I haven't seen all of John Waters' movies, and I kind of regret that. I mean, I only had a limited time to prepare for this, obviously. I know I need to see Multiple Maniacs. I need to see Desperate Living. I need to see Polyester. I'm leaning towards maybe either Hairspray or Cry Baby. I haven't seen Serial Mom or Pecker since the 90s, though. If you ask most historians, I think many of them would lean towards Desperate Living or Female Trouble, one of those two films. I mean, Pink Flamingos, even though, or maybe even Multiple Maniacs, because that has a 100% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes, while Pink Flamingos only has 81%. Oh God. another little bit here. He's been castrated. Oh God. And the girls have escaped. Well, thank goodness the girls have escaped. Oh man. Got to meet John Waters a few years ago for one of his live shows. Really nice guy and was a fun show. Yeah, see, that's the thing. Every report I've read, every time I see John Waters in an interview, I find the guy irresistible. I mean, there's something about the guy that he's so funny and he articulates things in such humorous ways. It's almost impossible to dislike him. Let's put it this way. One of the, in the movie A Dirty Shame, it's supposed to be like an outright war between the so-called neuters and all the sex addicts who are looking for like a sex position or thing that it's never been done before. Well, the woman that plays the head neuter, I forget her name off the top of my head, when she read the script, she was appalled. She was absolutely appalled and so upset that she started crying. But then she met with John Waters. They talked, and then she agreed to do the movie. John Waters must have some kind of magic. I don't know what it is, but for some reason he can get these actors to do the most horrible things and appear in movies that have the most horrible things. I mean, but of course, I mean, a lot of people that's seen his studio stuff like Hairspray and Cry Baby and Serial Mom and Pecker and Cecil B. Demented. I really want to see Cecil B. Demented. I put that off for too long. Actually, I mean, A Dirty Shame, I just saw that again today. And I mean, it's not great. I mean, and it's definitely very sloppy. But the thing is that I do think that there are enough laughs in that movie that if you're curious enough, I think you might have a fun time with it. Oh, also, if you pre-order the Pink Flamingos Criterion from Atomic Books, John will sign it before it ships out. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Go ahead and pre-order Pink Flamingos on Criterion from Atomic Books, and John will sign it before shipping it out to you. See that's really cool. That's really cool. See, that's the thing. I love John Waters. I just don't love all his movies. You know, I mean, okay. Now, this is probably my favorite scene in the movie, and I think a lot of people's favorite scene in the movie where the news crew comes in. And you know what? I think I'm going to just go ahead and do this. I mean, the marbles, they're all, you know, they're bound and gagged and everything. I'm going to just raise the volume on this. I want everybody to hear this, and I'll put it back down. Just listen to this.
It's not just the publicity. My mama couldn't go on her everyday life with this kind of shit going on. She only did what had to be done. It was suicide on our part.
And Cotton, I noticed a smile on your lips. Does murder make you happy?
Murder merely relieves tension, Mr. Kazan.
Yeah, murder merely relieves tension, yeah.
Be happy. And I am completely at peace with myself. Totally happy.
Give me more questions.
Here we go.
Are you a lesbian?
Yes, I have done everything.
Does blood turn you on?
It does more than turn me on, Mr. Vader. It makes me come. And more than the sight of it, I love the taste of it. The taste of hot, freshly killed blood.
Could you give us some of your political beliefs?
Kill everyone now. Condone first-degree murder. Advocate cannibalism. Eat shit. Filter my politics. Filter my life. Take whatever you like.
Yes.
Oh, yes. It's making fun of society. I mean, he's mocking society with all this.
Once again. Of course, I did not reveal to you the exact location. Patience, Mr. Vader.
Patience, Mr. Vader.
And now for the trial.
You sit here.
Thank you.
Yeah, the trial where they're actually going to murder them.
Please, this is a court of law.
I call to the stand Miss Cotton.
All right. I just wanted everybody to hear that just to get, you know, I want them to just get a taste of this. As bad as the taste is, you know, I just still want everybody to get a taste of how ridiculous. Now, this is kind of unrelated, but the town that she mentions that they're going to move to is Boise, Idaho. Now, the only reason why Pink Flamingos went to Boise, Idaho is because they mention it in the movie. John Waters said that because they mentioned it in the script and on screen in the movie, Boise, Idaho got the movie to show in theaters. Just because it was mentioned. All the way from Baltimore, Maryland, here is John Waters' Pink Flamingos, or they actually mention our hometown. But the unrelated bit I was going to mention was that on Unsolved Mysteries, they actually had a con man who would he would go to banks and pretend to be executors for estates and steal money of people after they die by naming him the executors on the account, and he would just go to the typewriter and like ink out names and put his own name in. Well, the Hawaii Police Department actually got a paperwork which had been forged by the con man, and on there it said Boise, Iowa. Talk about sloppy, okay? I mean, talking about really, really sloppy. And on Unsolved Mysteries, the police sergeant was like, there is no Boise, Iowa. We all thought that was pretty hilarious. So Boise, Iowa. I mean, it's like, wow, man. I mean, this con man did not know simple geography, and that's why he got busted. Yeah, so they have a news crew here while the marbles are bound and gagged, and they're about to be shot to death. I mean, do not forget, I am divine. Yep. What a day for an execution. Off the record, mama, do we stab him or shoot him? God. So yeah, they're about to be strapped to a tree here to be tarred, feathered, and murdered. And like I said, this was a real gun that they used with real bullets. Oh, God. Yeah, they actually put tar and feathers on the actors here. I mean, anything for craft, right? Well, wait till the final scene, and it's better to ask after that. Yeah, anything for craft, okay? Let me give a timestamp here real quick. 1 hour and 27 minutes. 1 hour and 27 minutes. So we have about 5 minutes left in the film proper left to go. However, I'm going to let the 15 minutes of deleted scenes play out, and I'll do commentary on those, and then we'll call it night. Excuse me. Well, like I said, I'm glad you all came out tonight. Adam McCree, Don S, Brian Trash, Ben Grimm, S'mores Indoors, Dan Shine, Katrina, and Rob Gasper. Hey, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. Gentlemen of the press, you are about to witness the biggest news event of the year. Live homicide. Marbles, you have breathed your last breath. You have sighed your last sigh. You are no longer alive. Those are real bullets that they shot. Connie Marble, you stand convicted of assholism. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, God. No further questions, no further pictures. Divine has spoken. Yeah, they just literally murdered these people in front of reporters. I mean, like, wow. Wow. Oh, God. Oh, God. Yep. It needs to be repeated, but the Library of Congress, they voted to preserve this movie in the National Archive, and along with a Nightmare on Elm Street. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, I might as well mention real quick what the other films that they inducted this year. Among the others, they also inducted in 2021, along with Pink Flamingos. They include Chicana, 1979, Cooley High from 1975, Evergreen from 1965, Flowers and Trees from 1932, The Flying Ace from 1926, Hellbound Train 1930, Jubilo 1919, The Long Goodbye from 1973, The Lord of the Rings Fellowship of the Ring, The Murder of Fred Hampton, Nightmare on Elm Street 1984, Requiem 29, Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi got inducted this year along with Nightmare on Elm Street and Pink Flamingos, as well as Richard Pryor Live in Concert from 1979, Ringling Brothers Parade Film from 1902, Selena, the movie about the singer, Sounder from 1972. That is a movie I can't wait to do a commentary later on because Sounder is so underseen nowadays, based on a great children's book about racism in the Deep South. And Sounder is the name of a dog owned by this black sharecropping family. Strangers on a Train, Stop Making Sense, and Wally. Now, we have finally gotten to the very last scene of Pink Flamingos, where Divine, in fact, takes dog shit and eats it. They fed this dog steak for 3 days, and John Waters said that they literally had to wait a long time for the dog to actually shit. And this is all real. Divine just picks the dog shit off the ground and puts it in her mouth, and her reaction is 100% real. And, she just said in an interview, look, I'm an actress, and it was in the script. Now, what happened was she actually made a fake phone call to the emergency room and asked if there was any issues. And then they said, well, you should be okay. The only thing you might get are white worms. And that's literally the end of Pink Flamingos, the end. But we have 15 minutes of deleted scenes with John Waters himself introducing them. And what's hilarious is on the commentary track, he actually talks over these deleted scenes with him himself being interviewed. And he does a lot of laughing actually during these deleted scenes because John Waters, I mean, anything he says is funny here. Yep, classic scene. The scene where Divine actually eats dog shit. Oh, see, what was the just 1 second here. Yeah, I mean, the last 15 minutes of this are basically deleted scenes interspersed with John Waters' interviews. There's one more thing I wanted to mention here. Years later, John Waters was asked by a reporter why Divine consumed dog feces for the movie. And John Waters simply replied, it was just a little piece of dog shit and it made her a star. Yep, made her a star. After filming the notorious scene in which he ate dog excrement, Divine immediately cleaned her teeth using the toothbrush of someone she didn't like. Oh, no! That's pretty funny, actually. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. That's... Okay. Yeah, talk about getting revenge, you know? Now, that's actually not Divine on the Midnight paper. I think that's a mock-up. And their unquenchable thirst for notoriety. Yeah, I mean, these deleted scenes, there's nothing shocking about any of them. But I'm kind of glad he cut them because, like I said, the movie was running too long, I think. You know, here again, if this movie were like 70, 75 minutes, I think it actually would play a little bit better. Maybe even, dare I say it, be a little bit more accessible. I mean, but some of these scenes just go on way too long. There's the chicken. There's the dead chicken that they actually grill. I think they're actually cooking it right now. There he is talking to next to a poster of pink flamingos. It's not Mary Poppins. Oh no. Yeah, this is not Mary Poppins. This is pink flamingos. Edie talking to her eggs. Giving them names like Freddy. Yeah, it's not Mary Poppins. It's not the Poseidon Adventure. It is disgusting. It's pink flamingos. That's an actual poster for it. I wonder how many eggs Edie actually ate during this movie. I honestly wonder. I'm also surprised they didn't set the movie around Easter time, because they probably would have been able to get some great jokes there. In the words of Robin Williams, wait a minute, rabbits don't even lay eggs. What the hell? You know? I do love their nature dialogue when they just said, yeah, they're just fucking and shitting out in the open. I mean, here again, it's just John Waters has that charming way of actually talking about all this. And I love his mustache, too. I honestly really love his mustache. Oh, they actually had a scene where the marbles actually encountered Edie. And zip tie her wrist together. Oh, this isn't good. Oh, and they break eggs and they just throw it all over her. Oh, man. Oh. This is actually a little bit more disgusting than the dog feces. I don't know. Oh, my God. And now John Waters is talking next to a poster of Serial Mom. Serial Mom came out in 1994. So, yeah, it was pretty much the last film he made before the 25th anniversary of Pink Flamingos. Life-affirming characters. That's my specialty. Yeah. I saw her once. She's an ugly bitch. Wears glasses. And him, what a Lulu. Blue hair. And John Waters says, you can see the bad continuity coming up in this scene. We forgot to put Eddie's baby bonnet back on her head. Oh, God. Oh. Broke raw eggs all over her. Oh, poor Edie. Yeah, she's crying in the... Oh, you could actually see Cracker's breath. Yeah, John Waters said that when they shot all this, it was very, very cold. They only had one extension cord. They only had one extension cord that was able to light the entire trailer. And now we have Divine virtually naked on screen. A big subplot that was cut from the film was the revenge murder of Cookie the Spy. I'm not breaking any nails this time. I might need them for scratching. Wow. Let me see how many more of these deleted scenes there are, just real quick. Oh, about approximately 7 minutes. Yeah, approximately 7 minutes left to go. So the movie proper is about 92 minutes, and the deleted scenes are about 15 minutes. Has Texas Chainsaw Massacre inducted? I know that the Museum of Modern Art has it. I don't think it's been inducted into the film registry yet, believe it or not. And by the way, I'm very, very upset that Tobe Hooper was not honored by the Academy. They remembered to honor George Romero, but they didn't honor Tobe Hooper, which is really a real shame. Real shame. Some of the things they're saying in these deleted scenes, oh my God. Was your cutting and hacking successful, my children? Why, Cookie won't be doing any more spying on anybody else. You can be sure of that. Yep. She looked like a piece of raw ham. Oh, God. Oh, my God. The original curse on the marbles by Divine and Crackers was even more complicated. Really? She can sit here in that ugly red hair and asshole off all day. Yeah. Oh yeah, the dialogue in this movie just full of gems, full of profanity laced gems. I'm not. John Waters says, I'm not even sure I understand this part, and it keeps playing. Oh God. Oh no. Like I said, if you ever get the DVD, or I don't know if I'm sure they'll have these deleted scenes on the Criterion version. Actually, you know what? Since we're in the last 5 minutes here, that would be perfect. Let me go to Criterion real quick. Because I want to say everything that's supposed to be on the Blu-ray when it comes out on June 28th. New 4K digital restoration, supervised and approved by director John Waters, with uncompressed monaural soundtrack. 2 audio commentaries featuring Waters from the 1997 Criterion Laserdisc and the 2001 DVD release. So this commentary, as well as the Laserdisc commentary, will be on this Blu-ray. New conversation between Waters and filmmaker Jim Jarmusch. Like I said, Criterion had tweeted that earlier. Tour the film's Baltimore locations, led by John Waters. Deleted scenes, alternate takes, and on-set footage. Trailer, English subtitles for the deaf and hard of hearing. And then finally an essay by critic Howard Hampton and a piece by actor and author Cookie Mueller about the making of the film from her 1990 book, Walking Through Clearwater in a Pool Painted Black. So that Blu-ray, the director-approved Blu-ray special edition, will be out June 28th. And as S'mores Indoors said earlier in the chat, thank you so much. If you pre-order the Pink Flamingos Criterion from Atomic Books, John Waters himself will sign it before he ships it out. And these last few minutes, I mean, we have this fake trailer, which I described during the Roger Ebert review. No scenes taken from... one guy said it's absolutely better than Cries and Whispers. The Ingmar Bergman film, it was better than Cries and Whispers. Really? Really? And some of these patrons say, oh, it was great. I loved it. Interview. Proceed immediately. The sickest movie ever made and one of the funniest. The only part I didn't like was the snakes. I have an aversion to snakes. I don't think there was any snakes in the movie. They must have got that from another movie. Wow. I think he's got a thumb securely up America's ass. You know what? I think that sums up Pink Flamingos perfectly. I think John Waters has a thumb up America's ass. Exactly. And that is Pink Flamingos. We are finally at the end. Coming soon from Sava Films. All right. So that is Pink Flamingos. Thank you again, everybody, for coming out and joining me tonight. Like I said, I do apologize. I wish the movie was more available right now in terms of streaming, because like I said, the only way you can get it right now is this DVD. But like I said, the Criterion version will be coming out June 28th. And I just talked about all the bonus features there. And so, yeah, be sure to order it from Atomic Books, and you'll have the director autograph on there. So at any rate, thank you so much for joining me tonight for Pink Flamingos. I don't know yet what my next commentary is, and I also don't know for sure if I will be back next Saturday. My birthday is going to be on Monday, April 4th. So I'll be doing some preparation for that. And like I said, I'm going to be picking up my birthday cake here later next week. But at the same time, here again, thank you for everybody for coming. I will be sure to let everybody know on Twitter. Follow me at Stone Gasman on Twitter, and you will find out very soon what my next audio commentary will be. So you're very welcome, Brian. You're very welcome. Again, thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight, and you all have a great evening. Take care, guys.